Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man and Sexy Blues, and for quite a while now, since really I began this whole YouTube excursion, I have wanted to do a video or podcast referencing one of my favorite book series set within the Star Trek universe, that being Star Trek Vanguard. This is a book series that came out in 2005. The first book, Harbinger, was written by David Mack, and it really set a new groundwork for expanding and expounding, if you will, on the time frame of the original series of Star Trek with Kirk and Spock. The first book is rife with cameos, such as Matt Decker, who you might remember from the original series episode The Doomsday Machine. Of course, Kirk and Spock, Scotty, and some of the Enterprise crew we're familiar with show up. The then Commander Terrell, who later becomes a captain in Star Trek II Wrath of Khan over Chekhov. Dr. Mbenga, who we see has some dealings with Vulcans in later episodes of the series, as well as Carol Marcus, who shows up in Wrath of Khan as well as the one-time lover of a young Captain Kirk and went on to be the mother of Kirk's son, as well as Chancellor Gorkon, who in this particular series is still a counselor. You remember him in Star Trek VI. He is one of the Klingons trying to bring about peace between the Klingon people and the Federation. And but this series is just fantastic in my opinion because, as I say, it compounds from what we know, and then expounds into a whole new side of the universe, into a whole new sector of space, if you will. It primarily has to do with a sector of space called the Taurus Reach, and it's at the center, I believe, of the borders of like the Tholians and the Klingons, respectively. I think that's what it is. It might be the Tholians and the Romulans. I don't exactly remember because it's been a little while since I read the books, but I have a vague idea of where the last in the series so far has left off. Up until about a day or two ago from the time of this recording, there were 5 novels in the series out so far. There was the very first one, which was Harbinger, as I said, written by David Mack, and cover art will accompany this podcast, in hopes that if some of the details I give you are not all that enticing, perhaps the art will be, because it's just phenomenal. But the second book in the series is Summon the Thunder by Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore. We have the third book in the series, which is Reap the Whirlwind, again by David Mack. The fourth in the series is Open Secrets, written by Ward. And Precipice, which was the 5th so far in the series, was again written by David Mack. Now, the 6th that just came out, as I say, at the time of this recording, is called Declassified. And it's actually got, I believe, 4 writers attached to it. There's like 4 short stories that go along the length of the timeline of the particular book series. I believe maybe back before the time period of the first book, and maybe up to a point past where we are in the series so far. And of course there is a 7th book that I know of in the series that will be another full novel, coming out I think sometime either later this year or early next, 2012-ish. But what I wanted to say about this series, because they're books and they really can't speak for themselves, so I'll do the speaking for them, haha. But David Mack, out of all the writers that are involved with this, Dayton Ward and Kevin Dillmore are definitely fantastic in their own right. David Mack impresses me probably the most out of the 3 of them, because I also read his Star Trek series Destiny, which takes place post Star Trek Nemesis, the film. And there's a whole... what I love about that series, just to sort of take a side note tangent if I can, real quick, that series features throwbacks to multiple generations in the timeline of Star Trek, going all the way back to Star Trek Enterprise, which is supposed to be the earliest time period we see, and little touches here and there from that point on up until the last point we see in the Star Trek universe, which at the time was Star Trek Nemesis. But getting back to Vanguard, as I say, this all is set within the time frame of the original series of Star Trek. And something I really love, another little side note tangent, is when they went and decided to remaster the original series, which is fantastic and phenomenal in my humble opinion. And usually when I start watching a couple episodes, I have to watch them all again because the updated CG and digital effects just make it that much more entertaining and stunning to watch, compounding on the sturdy and sometimes kooky acting that goes on. But I love the fact that there was actually a little cameo of the space station style of Vanguard, Starbase 47 aka Vanguard, within the series as they did the digital effects. I don't remember the episode title it appears in, but I just thought that was really cool. But as I say, not only does this series begin with a bang, in that there's a political intrigue and themes of like espionage, sort of Cold War-esque story motivations. The Taurus Reach is an as yet unexplored area, and there are artifacts that crop up, leading to us finding out about a new species called the Shaddai. And without giving too much away, the Shaddai are sort of, you could say in certain essences they're like energy beings, in certain essences they are psychic beings, and we definitely find a lot more out about the Tholians as well, which is really cool. And there's this whole, who can unlock the mysteries of the Shaddai first? The Federation, Starfleet, the Tholians, the Klingons, there might be a Gorn in there somewhere. There are also the Orion Syndicate, or Orions that work singularly, and this will kind of segue into specific characters I want to mention. But there's a mob boss esque Orion guy called Gans, and there's an upstart, up-and-comer scientific dude called Ming Zhong. The commander of the Starbase Vanguard is Commodore Diego Reyes, and he is a character that I can best describe as being this book's Captain Kirk, although with a little more age on him and a lot more weight on his shoulders, but very much the heroic character, if I may say, that the same kind of elements that Kirk impresses upon me. And there's a kooky character called Cervantes Quinn, I hope I'm pronouncing that character name right, who is kind of in the vein of Harry Mudd from the original series, although the description's a little different. I have to be honest, when I'm reading the series, I basically have in my head the actor that played Harry Mudd in the original series, his voice and his sort of look. There's a reporter in the vein of some of the things we saw toward the end of Star Trek Enterprise, but this cat is called Tim Pennington, and he manages to get himself into precarious situations whether he wants to or not, or perhaps other people, their machinations lead him to being placed into situations, and it's very interesting, the relationship that eventually unfolds between him and the character of Quinn. There is the security officer and Vulcan female T'Pring, who I can best refer to as having one Katra too many. That's one Vulcan soul or mind or essence too many in her psyche, and is constantly doing battle with it, all the while trying to maintain order on board the Vanguard station, and trying to uncover little plot holes and little plot things that are going on. Not plot holes, but you get the gist. There's what would Star Trek be without the sort of old ornery medical staff, and in the vein of Bones McCoy from the original series, Dr. Ezekiel Fisher. And as I say, there's interaction with established characters, but these characters have a life all their own. And really, just, as I say, expound upon the original series framework and make this whole thing, what the Next Generation and DS9 did, and even Voyager and Enterprise, what they did for the screen, this does set within the framework of the original series of Star Trek, which is something that is up until now been largely untapped. In the vein of Star Wars, there are books and books and books set in different corners of the galaxy with different characters and different adventures, and this is the first time this has kind of happened for the original series time period of Star Trek, and it's just, as I say, phenomenal. The twists and turns that take place, I remember several times within this book series, I'm reading and I have an idea something's happening, what's it going to be, and I'm blindsided, or I have no idea that something's coming, and I nearly drop the book because I'm like, holy crap, that just this crazy reveal. And this happens, as I say, multiple times. Now, I'm a writer, and usually and I'm also a movie buff, so usually when I'm watching a movie, even sometimes a trailer, I can basically give you, in a nutshell, what the movie is going to be about from beginning to end. Or if something's coming in the story, I know it ahead of time. It's happening a little more often that I don't pick up on things just because I've been out of the loop so much in the past few years thanks to monetary problems. But what I can say about this book series is it's definitely beaten me at my own game on more than one occasion as far as predictability goes. There are times when I think I see where a setup is going and it takes a left turn and I'm genuinely like, whoa, But as I say, the story framework of trying to beat other species who may or may not want the death of the Federation, to unlocking the mysteries of this race we know very little about, if anything at all, and their superior technology, and how the political intrigue, as I say, and the manipulations and machinations of all the people involved, people working covertly, people trying to stick their nose where it doesn't belong, people just out for trouble from the get-go, and how this all interweaves into a spectacular book series. But I just cannot say enough good things about this series, and I'm very hopeful of going out and getting that 6th book. I definitely am looking forward to it with the bombshell reveal between the last 2 books, Open Secrets and Precipice, and I'm dying to know where the story goes. I don't know how much of that is going to be unveiled in Declassified, or if I'll have to wait for the 7th book in the series, but I cannot say enough good things about this. I love Star Trek, the original series. I love all things Star Trek, all 11 films, what I've seen of all of the series. The only 2 that I've actually seen from beginning to end is the original series and Star Trek Enterprise. But basically, as much as I am a Whovian, I am a Trekkie. And this series very much gives me what I want as far as knowing more about the time frame of the original series of Star Trek. What else was going on while the Enterprise was going on its adventures. And the really cool thing is, usually there's a historian's note at the beginning of the book that gives you the exact time frame between episodes when the events of the story are unfolding in the Vanguard series. And so I cannot give it enough praise. Mad thumbs up, more thumbs than I have at my disposal, and I hope you are interested in it. If not, I hope you at least were entertained by how much I'm interested in it. And so for now, this is SXC Blues signing off.